Unus pro omnibus, omnes pro uno.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
There are some Anitubers I loved, some I don't support anymore, and some of them deserve to lose subscribers. Lies, egos, and manipulating others are the main trio why Anitube is bad and false news.
It's Kotaku and Polygon.
I met who has all these traits on him or her and became the most demonic Anituber in this godforsaken website. After a few months of stress trying to edit them, the project file got eaten many times. Well, save it until later. Here's the problems I found about Jerry Freeman.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Jerry Freeman is an Anituber regardless, and is like a college roommate that lectures you why you're not allowed to put your posters on your side of the room for half an hour while you're half asleep listening to him. A sighting that he hates, Shield Hero, which really makes me want to blare up Cold Tanderum until I passed out. And as a self-aware anime fan who's also dead inside, I'ma get to some points why, as I found out about these on his videos before and during his videos about Anitube was posted, which is barely about Anitube. Starting with the fact that, obviously, no knowledge. He tends to watch anime by the context of Anitube, but not the anime itself.
My point is, I'm not that into anime, and when I am, I tend to watch it outside of the context of the medium.
Saying that a running gag would lead to two lolis going to have sex, while there's actually no sexual bull going on, is so stupid. Why settling to criticize in the context like that 2 months before KyoAni was burned into scorching fire by some guy in a red hoodie falsely accusing them for plagiarizing his catchphrase?
Really makes you think.
Bakana's not important, by the way. Next, you got the Mother's Basement Syndrome. I know that I dropped Ruby after Volume 6 because of
Something really disappointing in here.
but he bitches about Ruby in the same amount as Jeff threw bitching about Sword Art Online, and it's told by the looks of it. Then, you got the hypocrisy from him. After he said about Dragon Maid, he rather headpat Ed from Cowboy Bebop and Xiao Mei from Fullmetal Alchemist.
Which is why I'm probably the only person alive to be extremely grossed out by the fact that a popular KyoAni show in the West has a scene where they bait two underage girls getting ready to have sex. Gateway anime like Bebop or Fullmetal Alchemist don't have these risky themes, and seeing something like that in them would be pretty fucking strange.
And most importantly, he's a Puritan. Now that really makes me side-eyeing away from him because he really called anime characters that are not hentai because Japan deal with it sex icons.
Oh, I feel so corny talking like that.
Anitube traps itself in this insular environment where if it happens often enough in anime, it's completely fine and you aren't pressed to question it. Like, Evangelion's waifu politics were originally extremely poignant aspects of Rei and Asuka's characters, but because it was successful and other animes started ripping off the dynamic, the entire function of a group of female side characters competing with the main character has devolved into literal porn. We don't have these mortal developed human beings in our animations anymore. We have sex icons, and if they're not meant to be sex icons, then people make them sex icons anyway, because the insular standards of anime have become—
Now let me get this straight. People in Japan loved the cute girl dynamic since back in the 60s and 70s, and it spreads from the Far East to the Western audience since the late 80s and the entire 90s. Remember back then when Sailor Moon aired on Toonami? Yeah, people in the West loved it as well, and they make tons of fan art of them because they fall in love with these characters. So they drew them, including making doujins and uro art because it's the internet, get used to it.
It's not watching anime from the context of your own experiences and values, it's watching anime from the context of anime. Now, I can't blame him for not doing his research here, because I feel like a lot of anime fans don't even know a lot of this stuff, which is unfortunate because I feel like it's very important information. Firstly, Evangelion's quote-unquote waifu dynamic, that wasn't even the first show to pull off something like that. I mean, you had a show like Macross in the 1980s, which had the whole dynamic between Hikaru, Hayase, and Len Minmay. That whole love triangle there, a lot of people liked that, and a lot of people were engaged with it. You had a lot of rom-com titles from back then, like the ones from Rumiko Takahashi, for example, so there definitely were titles where people liked the waifu dynamic of it, certainly for sure. You even had the lolicon boom of the 1980s with magazines like Lemon People, or as a lot of people called it, L People. You had grown adult men watching and enjoying magical girl shows intended for little kids back in like the 1970s and making fan doujinshi of the characters. Now, does that sound familiar to anybody?
He's actually okay with Western media, but not anime nor something Japanese, so that's another problem with him, and that explains his Roman Empire. Morals and human rights on characters are non-existent at all when it comes to anime. They're just drawings, including when the loli was drawn older by a fan artist. And unimportant, but it's obvious to point out, in my point of view, that he's bored. And so does his content. I tried out his 2 RubyAlled videos to the very end, and I was half asleep watching it. It is the same big bore energy as
Walking Waffle starring Ree Watson.
all of his videos and jokes are nothing but lectures and sentences, and it's hard to follow videos like this.
Daitomodachi sucks big fucking gorilla pee. I hate him because he's... I can't say this. I hate him because he's black and also not funny. Not unlike making fun of black people. Daitomodachi sucks big fucking gorilla pee. I hate him. I hate him because he's black and also not funny. But mostly because he's black.
No, stop!
But still, that's a so much lame Ruby remake he did at all. So if you're a Ruby fan and wanted to remake it because reasons of retconning lore, characters, and so on, just make an original clone of it and try not to make it too obvious. But good thing is that he recently made a good take about interspecies reviewers, so I hope that he changed after his quote-unquote Anitube video. Yet, there's still more bad Anitubers along the way. Mother's Basement, For Never Ruled, Pedantic Romantic, Digibro. There's other kinds of idiots who are asking for clout for a wider audience and failed miserably or didn't know jack about adult animated cartoons that are originated from Japan at all. So I'll be making more videos like that if I ever got enough info on Jeff and Pedantic without breaking community guidelines, and the website owned by a manless Silicon Valley corporation, and don't worry about it, I might post it to Dailymotion or Pornhub because I don't have a choice. What the goodness. I already took my 3rd thoughts about him, and he's painfully half-baked. Just not liking him and thinking that Demo D is better than Jerry doesn't mean that I'll start liking Michiru's Tanuki thighs despite him. That would be so stupid.
So basically, I want to see Michiru naked.
Yeah, he literally got me into this.
Okay.